Following the hot money continues to be my favorite way to trade options specifically. It's the way that I've traded for the last 10 years, and it's where I follow where money is going in real time. And I'm going to share with you a case study, a real case study of a trade that I took last night and closed out this morning for a 600% gain. 600% gain. Now, I'll be frank with you. Not all trades, and very few trades for that fact, are going to be 600% gainers. But the reason for this case study is not to talk about how great this gain is, but what I want to talk to you specifically about is finding these opportunities and how to create consistency, which is key to making money and doing it. Now, there's no promise that you're going to make money, and actually, most people do lose money. So what this is educational purposes only. So my name is Joshua Belanger of Countervest, and we're going to talk about that trade right now. So we're going to take a look here at Harley. This is a stock chart of the daily. And if we take a look here at today's candle, we see that shares were up 6.85%. Now, typically, when you see, especially in stocks like this, or in stocks in general, when they have what's known as gap risk, they have risk of news coming out that could either send shares higher or sink them lower on the previous day session. That's always the case with owning stocks, is that you have equity risk. There could be some kind of news or some kind of information that comes out that affects that specific stock. So then you get either a big gap lower, if it is that meaningful, or a big gap higher. So today we got this big gap higher. Now, I can't tell you that this isn't the first time, because this is not the first time that I've seen this, where again, option activity has been a precursor to future price movement. So the reason why shares are higher by 6.85% today is because a firm on Wall Street, Baird, came out and upgraded shares to an outperform and with a higher price target of $45. Now, why did we see this kind of reaction on the shares? I have no idea. But what we did see is that shares were up 6.85%. I'm going to show you yesterday on why I got into options in this specific name within the last 30 minutes of the close yesterday, and unknowingly of what was going to happen, but knowing something would happen that would send shares higher. So let's take a look at the option activity from yesterday and why I was alerted to this. So if you take a look here at the April 1st contract, and this is yesterday's, this is March 30th, 2021. This is real market data here. The April 38 strike that expired at that time 2 days. It had 2 days of life left. All of a sudden, on my system, which tracks what I refer to as hot money. Now, some people talk about unusual option activity, and this would be defined as unusual options activity. But I look for something more specific and what I refer to as hot money. And part of that is looking for things that are about to expire or near term, that we're seeing all of a sudden a big flow of money. And that's exactly why I got into this name last night. And you see here, 2,300 contracts traded on the day, and the open interest is 49 contracts. Now, what alerted to me is that someone came in and bought a big block of calls within 30 minutes of the close, and they were getting in pretty aggressively. Who knows why, but we do know why now. And I was able to get in behind them, especially when you look at something that has 2 days. At this point, we know volume, and we know that these traded on the offer, these were buying. So who would be putting money with 2 days to expiration and putting that kind of money up unless they were pretty confident that shares were going to go higher? Now, it doesn't always work out this way. It doesn't. But there was, in this situation and other situations I could point to as well, where we did see that. So I'm going to show you the trades that I had here. So right here, and so 15.28, which is 30 minutes to the close here, I tried to put an order at 25 cents initially, and I didn't get filled there. So I actually moved that order, and within 10 minutes of the close, I actually was able to get filled at 30 cents. So what I also then did is I put a sell order in about a minute afterwards to try to sell some at 50 cents. I was trying to sell 5 at 50 cents. Now, again, the reason why I was trying to do this is because I was trying to scalp these options. Now, the one way that I've been able to have success over the last 10 years is by following a system. And that system is having a process of selling for profits, managing profits, and also selling for losses. Options are inconsistent. And if you have and you try to be inconsistent with an inconsistent product, you're going to have inconsistent results. So a strategy has to have both. You have to be consistent on when you take profits and when you also exit. So for me, I am not looking for the 600% gainers. Now, the issue that some people have is, well, you're losing profits or you're leaving profits on the table. And that could be some situations where that does happen, but oftentimes that's not what happens with options. Options are a decaying product and they're there for the quick hits or the quick profit opportunities depending on what expiration you're in. But so in this case here, I wasn't able to get filled at 50 cents. So then what I initially did, because again, we don't typically see options in most cases go overnight 600%, if not more. You just can't play for those types of returns and be consistent long term. You're going to have those hits, but you got to be able to put, if you put into sports terms, base hits over time. Just managing. And this is where the big opportunities or the big hits come from, is because if you're playing in stocks, equities, this is the type of plays that can happen. Oftentimes people say, well, Josh, you're capping your upside. Why would you do that? Well, in this situation, I'm going to cap my upside because if we come into the close today and there's only 1 day left to expiration, those options are going to be pretty much, they're going to be underwater and if not near worthless. So on the open, I got to make sure I'm trying to sell those. So on the open, I had a profit target of 50 cents to sell into them. Who knows what was going to happen? But I want to point this out specifically because oftentimes people think, well, if I put an order here and it gets filled the next day, I'm leaving profits on the table. And that's not the case at all. So let's just take a look here at hog. And let's take a look here at just a 5-minute. So here you see my entry here at 30 cents. And that was where I was able to get in. And then it triggered. So I had a good to cancel order here because I wanted to sell at the open depending on what got filled, or depending on how prices traded on the open, and try to get filled on that. But even though that it triggered my order to sell at 50 cents, whatever the market was at that time, I was able to sell at that price. And this is the reason why I was able to get filled at, let's go to a 1 minute here. So I got filled right here. So it's probably one of the first people to get filled. And I did miss a little bit of profit here. But this part right here, we don't know. We don't know that this is going to happen. At this point, we got a 600% overnight return. I'm okay with it. I have it. It's triggered. It's done. I walk away from it. Now, of course, it goes to $2.55. But that upside, we don't know. So we're always selling into strength. I'm always selling into strength. And this is how I navigate and use this type of activity, what I refer to as hot money. And this is of course, a great case study. This is an example of an overnight 600% return. Very few and very far in between, but these types of opportunities, they may not bring out 600% returns, but for consistency and following the money, there's always people in the marketplace that have this type of information because somebody yesterday knew that somebody was going to come out with an upgrade. Now, that upgrade didn't mean that it was a for sure thing that prices were going to go up 7% the following day. There's always the reaction that you have to play into. But somebody obviously knew that somebody was going to come out with an upgrade and that was going to be beneficial to shares going higher. And if they were right, their small bet that they placed turned into several more or hundreds of thousands of dollars on this move higher. So this is the type of activity that I find very interesting and I have found very interesting for the last 10 years. Now, some people talk about unusual option activity. I talk about hot money. Now, this type of activity, like I said, is constantly happening every day. I see it constantly. I'm tracking it every day. Now, my service, Hot Money Trader, I just issued a new trade alert for a different stock. And like I said, we're always finding those opportunities. But what I would tell you this is that right now, you're not able to get into Hot Money Trader. But if you go to countervest.com, you can read more about unusual option activity, hot money, and more information about that. And also, when you go there, put in your name, and when Hot Money Trader opens back up, you'll be one of the first people to know about my special training. So this right here, great example, great opportunity, a low risk, huge return. But let me be clear, these don't happen often where you're able to manage a 600% gain overnight. There's often times where stocks go and it's a 30% return. Or the options go 30, 40%. With options, and you're buying options, people are always trying to go for triple digit gains. If you get those, this is how you get those triple digit gains. Overnight, big gap risk because the stocks open higher because of news. But that's not the game we're playing. We're playing the game to be consistent, to walk away, to beat the market. And these, when they do happen, help us pad those returns to be able to beat the market long term. So make sure to leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. Obviously, someone knew something, right? So leave a comment, like the video, share the video, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Take care.